Facts.
To this coming weekend's
It's not so bad.
MMA
It's not really
action,
bad.
we have PFL and UFC happening. Let's start this off with PFL 7. The 2023 PFL playoffs are upon us. This event will feature the playoffs for the featherweights and light heavyweights in this year's PFL season. Let us begin in the light heavyweight division with we have. I'm gonna butcher this fucking guy's name. Impa Kasanganay and Marthin
You don't
Hamlet.
remember him from the UFC?
Kasanganay.
Impa Kasanganay.
Kasanganay. God. Okay, Hamlet. A 31-year-old out of Norway, 12-4 as a pro, coming off 3 wins professionally. Kasanganay, 29-year-old out of North Carolina, 13-3. 4-fight win streak coming into this weekend. Mark, give us your take and your pick.
All right, so welcome to the PFL playoffs at featherweight and light heavyweight, featuring Rob Wilkinson and Thiago Santos and Brendan Loughnane and Movlid Habulaev. No, none of them are here. Literally none of them. So this did not work out quite how the PFL wanted. Couple guys lost. Couple guys got only one guy lost. Loughnane. Movlid got hurt. Wilkinson, Santos got suspended. So yeah, some of the bigger names are not here, but we press on nonetheless. So the first semifinal match that Mike teed up here is at light heavyweight between Marthin Hamlet, who is the dog at plus 180, and Impa Kasanganay, who is the favorite at minus 240. Hamlet's 2 inches taller. The reach is the same. Hamlet's the more proven commodity in the PFL. He's 6-3 in the organization. He has some good wins. But Impa has been around. He's had 4 fights in the UFC. He was 2-2 there. He was 1-1 at middleweight. Then he dropped and was 1-1 at welterweight. Then he joins the PFL and pops up at light heavyweight and is actually 3-0. And it looks like he may have actually found the best weight class for his skills because his speed has shined here. And it's going to shine for as long as this fight goes on whenever there's space between these two fighters because he will have a big advantage in that department. Hamlet has to close the distance. He has to wrap Kasanganay up and try to out-wrestle him, and he certainly can. But I'm going to side with the more dynamic and more exciting fighter, maybe because I want to see it, but I think it can happen. I think Hamlet may be a little too one-dimensional, and I will say Kasanganay catches him round 2 TKO.
Yep. I absolutely agree. I'm actually also on the Kasanganay train as well. I don't know if you've seen that man's hands. That man's hand is gigantic. Like, getting punched by him has got to be fucking the worst. I think Hamlet's a decent fighter. I don't think he's anything, I don't think he's anything that Kasanganay can't deal with. I'll just put it like that. I think he's a little bit more skilled, definitely a little bit more experienced and seasoned at this point. So I'm going to go with Kasanganay as well with a second round TKO.
I don't know these guys that well, but fuck it. I'll roll with you guys. I'll say Kasanganay. Knockout round 1. I'll say knockout first minute. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Featherweights, Gabriel Braga taking on Chris Wade. Okay. Braga, the 25-year-old out of Rio, undefeated, 11-0. He's 3-0, obviously, now in the PFL. Taking on Chris, the Long Island Killer, Wade, the 35-year-old out of Long Island.
Name? I never even realized that.
23-9 as a professional. Coming off a win against Ryoji Kudo back in June. Omar, go.
Yeah, does Chris Wade? I wonder if Chris Wade trains out of Matt Serra's gym or Ray Longo's gym or something like that. I would imagine they're probably close by, if not.
I feel like I've tried to look this up before.
Sherdog says he trains at East Islip Kickboxing and Long Island MMA.
Yeah. So
I don't think that's them.
No, it's not them.
Yeah. Well, either way, man, Chris Wade is a decent fighter. I know he's had some trouble, obviously, with some of the elite guys in the PFL, the Bubba Jenkinses, the Brendan Laughlins. But I still think he's a very good fighter. Gabriel Braga is the one that has the momentum. Obviously, he's got the undefeated record. He's had his success already in the PFL, some pretty good fights, especially his last fight against Marlon Moraes. We all know how that went. But Marlon was also at the tail end of his career, I guess, really. So I don't want to put too much stock in that, especially when you're talking about somebody who is continuously trying to work on himself, continuously trying to get better. As much as I like Gabriel Braga, I think he does have a lot of potential. I think I'm going to go with Chris Wade here. I just think he'll be able to maneuver it around, and I think he'll be able to use his ground game a little bit more than Braga is probably either expecting or able to handle. So I'm going to go with Chris Wade here, and I'm going to go with by decision.
I will go next, and I will say
right,
that I'm going to go with the hometown boy. Sorry, Mark. Sorry for the delay. I don't always want to go last. That's why I feel left out. I'm going to go with the Long Island Killer. I'm going to go with our hometown boy, Chris Wade. I'm going to say Chris Wade gets it done by UD. Mark, now you may go.
All right, very tight odds. Braga is the slight favorite. He's minus 125. Chris Wade is even money at plus 100. Wade is 1 inch taller. Braga has a 2-inch reach advantage. This is the one that was supposed to be Movlid Habulaev against Braga. Obviously, Movlid was the favorite to win it all at featherweight this year. Unfortunately, he had to drop out, and Chris Wade, who kind of seems to never go away, is back again and has a shot to make the finals here. And as the odds dictate, it should be a really close matchup. Braga is 11-0. He just knocked out Marlon Moraes, as Omar mentioned. I'm not sure what we should take from that, but before that, he beat Jesus Pinedo, who was the man that just beat Brendan Loughnane. So that says something. However, I don't think Braga has ever fought a dogged wrestler like a Chris Wade, a guy who will be as relentless to work in the wrestling as we know Chris Wade will be. So the question for me is just going to be how Braga handles that. Can he keep weight off him? Can he work his kicks? And maybe I regret doubting him. Obviously, he has not lost yet, but I'm going to say Chris Wade can edge it out. I think he'll be relentless enough to earn enough control time to win this fight. And even though he has been a bit up and down, you have to be pretty damn solid to beat Chris Wade if you look through his resume. So I will say 29-28 UD for Wade.
Okay. Co-main time, PFL 7 playoffs, featherweights and light heavyweights. Back to the light heavyweight side of this equation. Joshua Silveira taking on Ty Flores. So Joshua Coninha Silveira out of Miami, Florida, the 30-year-old, 11-1, coming off back-to-back wins coming into this playoff. Taking on Ty Big Medicine Flores, the 29-year-old out of Denver, 13-4. Omar, start us off.
So the fight's really interesting. I do think that Silveira is the better fighter overall. I think Ty Flores gets away with being a dog. I think he gets away with his wrestling, being heavy on top, being really heavy on top, if we're being completely honest. He looks really awful to be under. But I just think that Silveira is going to have a little bit more apt when it comes to being able to keep him off the ground and then just really being able to put it together on the feet. If there's one thing about Ty Flores I'm not a huge fan of is his comfort level on the feet. He just seems like he, if he's not getting beat on a little bit, he's trying to figure out how to get the fight to the ground. And against guys who are not, skilled enough to keep him off of him, he's very likely to stay on top of you throughout the fight. I just don't think that's going to happen here. So I'm going to go with a finish here by Silveira, second round TKO.
I like it. I too will go with the more talented Silveira. I think everything you said was spot on. So I will go Silveira. I'll say round 3 knockout.
Yeah, he's a big favorite. He is minus 500. Ty Flores is plus 350. Measurements, Flores is 2 inches taller. The reach is the same. As Omar said, Ty Flores can wrestle. He wins a lot of decisions behind that and being heavy on top. But Josh Silveira can wrestle, and he can also do everything else. I don't think this one boils down to much more than that. I think Josh Silveira is the favorite to be this year's PFL light heavyweight champion, with Rob Wilkinson obviously suspended and out of the picture. I think the two of them would have been a great fight if we had gotten to see it. And I think he is going to style on Ty Flores here and do it quickly. I will take Josh Silveira round 1 submission.
Nice. Okay, main event.
Guys, I have to point this out really quick. I'm sorry. Does anybody know what Coninha means? Is this guy's Silveira's nickname?
It sounds
because
Portuguese.
everything everything I'm looking up says it means pussy. So I'm really hoping this dude did not make that his nickname.
That is very funny.
It's just that can't be right. It can't be right.
I will say this.
I don't know. Maybe
I'm always a little surprised that there aren't more just like standard good nicknames in MMA. There's nicknames like this. Or like fucking, what was the guy who was Creepy Bob Ross? Like, you get shit like that.
Oh, well, that was a genius one that I think the fans made up. I don't even think that was Violent Rob Ross.
I'm just surprised that there aren't more nicknames that are like the bear,
maybe not.
the lion, the wolf, the tiger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Chimaev is the wolf.
Yeah, he is.
The Chechen wolf.
Yeah. And that's a great nickname, man. All right. Here we go. Bubba Jenkins, whose nickname is I'm a Bad Man. His nickname is I'm a Bad Man.
Yes, it's one of the best.
Taking on Jesus himself. I'm making my fucking self laugh.
Show's going off the rails.
Jesus Pinedo. Can I just say for a second? I love this from the Latino community. So what white folks do when white folks want to do like a Christian first name for their kids, are like Faith, Hope, maybe Destiny. Like Latino folks are just
we take them right out the fucking Bible.
We're going Jesus. You've never met a white guy named Jesus. Hey man, how you doing, Michael?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. They're like, we're going straight for Jesus.
Not man.
Yeah.
The Latin community,
Hispanics. Yep. Yep.
Anyway,
they go for the heavy hitters in the Latin community.
Omar, what does Pinedo's nickname mean? El Mudo.
It means the mute.
The mute. Wow. Okay, Bubba Jenkins, the 35-year-old out of California, 21-6 as a pro with 7 knockouts on his record, coming off of wins against Chris Wade and Sungbin Joe, making it into these playoffs. He will be standing across from Jesus Pinedo, the 27-year-old out of Lima, Peru, 21-6 with 1 draw, 12 knockouts on his record, coming off of that stunning knockout victory over Brendan Loughnane. Mark, why don't you start us off? Give us your take and your pick of I'm a Bad Man versus Jesus.
All right, Bubba is a big favorite. He is minus 400. Jesus Pinedo is plus 300. I figured Bubba would be favored. I didn't expect it to be quite that wide. The measurements, 4 inches of height and 2 inches of reach on the Pinedo side. Jesus Pinedo obviously just KO'd the defending champ Brendan Loughnane in like 2 minutes. He's won 5 of his last 6, and he comes into this one with a lot of momentum on his side. He is much bigger than Bubba Jenkins, height and reach, as I just pointed out. So it's set up somewhat nicely for him to try to pull this off. I am not going to pick it. I'm not picking against my boy Bubba Jenkins. He could definitely end up getting hurt on the feet. Pinedo has 12 knockouts, as you just said. But Bubba Jenkins seems like he's still getting better at 35 years old. He made it to the final last year looking the best he had ever looked. Did get beat, obviously, by Loughnane. Then he returns this year. He trounces Chris Wade, who had beaten him the first time they fought a few years back. Beat Sung Bin Jo with relative ease en route to these playoffs. And I don't think he's going to be stopped right now. I think we are going to end up with a Bubba Jenkins and Chris Wade trilogy for $1 million. More confident in Bubba getting there than I am in Wade getting there. But I think the wrestling of Bubba is going to be too much and carry the day here. Bubba Jenkins, UD.
Tell me again the odds.
Yeah.
400 and 300.
Who's the favorite? Bubba?
Jesus.
Bubba.
Okay. Go ahead, Omar.
You going, Mike?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with Mark. I think Bubba Jenkins is just too much the veteran. I'm going to go against my usual picking the younger fighter theme here. Loved what I saw in Pinedo against Loughnane, but I'm gonna go with Bubba Jenkins here. I'll say unanimous decision, and he marches on.
I'm going to go with the underdog here. One, I just think we need to make it interesting. Bubba Jenkins, I think, is a smart pick. I think it's the one that makes sense on paper, especially when you consider how good his grappling actually is. His actual ability to get people taken down is pretty high. So I think for me, I just think there is opportunity for Jesus to be able to stop at least a couple of those takedowns and really try to put it on him. I don't take away too much from the Brendan Loughnane loss just because I think he got caught more than anything. It's very easy, I think, to do MMA math in this specific situation, considering Brendan Loughnane is on both of their resumes. Jesus has got a win against him. Bubba's got a loss against him. So it's, it can be easy to fall into that trap, but I think more than anything, I think Pinedo just has tools to beat him. I just think he needs to find the right opportunity to use those tools. There is a real distinct possibility that Bubba Jenkins rides him for 3 rounds. That is wholly possible. But I think Pinedo finds an opportunity. So I'm going to go with him. I do think that he does need to finish Bubba Jenkins if he needs to win this fight. I don't think he wins a decision against him. So I'll say second round KO.